In this video, we're diving into the literal building blocks of any great room: floors, walls, and ceilings. You'll learn how to manually shape the walkable area for the player, create ramps, stairs, and ladders, and design crouchable tunnels and duckable spaces. So each new room in ES2 comes pre-equipped with the basics: a floor, 4 walls, and a ceiling. The floor is defined by its edges, which are the blue lines, and vertices, the white dots. To move an edge or vertex, click and drag with the left mouse button. Hold Shift while dragging to disable grid snapping for finer control. To add a new vertex, Alt and left-click along an edge. So let's say I want to add a hallway here between these 2 vertices I just created. If I move the middle edge, you'll notice that the surrounding walls also shift, which is not what I want. Instead of moving the edge, I can extrude the edge. Extruding means extending the edge outward to create new connecting walls and new floor space. So to extrude, press Ctrl and left-click on an edge and drag outward. As you've just seen, floors, walls, and ceilings are linked by default, meaning when you adjust the floor plan, the walls and ceiling update automatically, and any child props attached to them, such as doors or windows, will maintain their relative position. So here you can see that the door I placed on this wall, it automatically repositions when the wall is moved or extended. By default, doors and windows are children of the wall they're placed on. You can also parent other props to a wall, such as shelves, paintings, light switches, or wall lamps, so they will remain aligned if the wall is moved. To delete an edge or vertex, use the middle mouse button. To delete a wall or ceiling directly, select it and press X or delete like any other prop. To relocate the entire floor plan, including connected walls, ceilings, and child props, select the floor and move it using its gizmo. You can also rotate it to tilt the entire structure or scale it up or down. You can duplicate the floor plan with Ctrl-D to create a copy, and this is useful for stacking a second story or building a neighboring room. If you would like to customize the look of floors, walls, ceilings, and stairs, say to add wallpaper or a different brick pattern, see our tutorial on materials. Because the floor acts as the foundation to any room, many of the wall options are defined by the properties of the floor. You might notice that by default, your walls and ceilings only have a visible front face. This isn't a problem for enclosed rooms, but if your space can be viewed from the outside, like a house exterior, you'll want your walls to have thickness. To add thickness, select the floor, and in its Properties panel, adjust wall thickness. So I'll set this to 0.1. And you can see now my walls are fully 3D. From the same panel, you can also adjust wall height, which will automatically update the ceiling. Let's set it to 5 for a tall room. Now you can see with thicker, taller walls, I can't see inside my room if my camera is outside. I'm going to show you how to toggle visibility for walls and floors from the cog menu on the left panel. Here, I'll turn off the walls while I work. You can also wait to add wall thickness until later in your build, or you can select individual walls and hide them by pressing H. And remember, Ctrl-H will unhide all of your hidden props. So also in the cog menu, you can toggle the placement grid and set the grid square size. So this grid square size defines how far a prop moves when using the arrow keys and where a prop snaps to when control and dragging with a gizmo, both horizontally and vertically. I'm actually going to choose to darken the grid a bit so it's a bit less visible, and I'll change the size to 0.5 units. While we're here, let's also turn on the nav mesh visualization. The nav mesh represents the player's walkable area, and it's calculated automatically. I'll set Show Nav Mesh to both, so I can preview where the player can walk, which is shown in blue, and crouch, which is shown in orange. And you'll notice my player can walk all around this room, but there's kind of nowhere to go beyond this door. If I playtest, it shows the same thing. The player opens the door, but they can't exit. So let's fix that by creating another room next to it. From the building menu, I can manually place build props. So props from this building menu affect the playable space. Where you place floors, the player can walk, assuming there's a valid path connecting the two spaces together or a player teleport. So I'm going to place a floor just outside this door, and you'll see that my nav mesh automatically updates. So I just want to make sure that the nav mesh of room 1 and room 2 are close enough to be connected. And I'll resize this new floor to my liking, and then I'll test my level. Great, the player can now walk into my second room. But it's not much of a room yet, so let's add some walls. Select your new floor, then click Generate Walls and Generate Ceiling at the bottom of the screen. Now that my room is fully enclosed, you'll notice that from inside, this wall blocks the door and windows. And if I playtest, you'll notice I can no longer enter. The wall of the new room is blocking my way. So you have a few options here. You can delete that interior wall from room 2 and then, if needed, give the matching wall in room 1 a new material for its back face so it blends seamlessly. For more on materials, see the materials video. Alternatively, you can keep the wall in room 2 and instead create a hole in it in the shape of your door or window. And that brings us to our next section. When a floor, wall, or ceiling is selected, you'll see a button at the bottom of the screen labeled Generate Hole. Holes are traversable. Players can walk through them if they're in walls, or move between floors and ceilings through holes if stairs or ramps are added. Click Generate Hole, and you'll see a square cutout appear. You can edit it just like a floor, move edges and vertices, or control left-click to extrude edges. To copy a hole, Alt left-click on a vertex. To delete a hole, Alt and middle-click a vertex. You can use holes creatively, like a trapdoor leading to a basement, or a cracked floor from an earthquake, or even a small peephole hidden behind a painting. Doors and windows from the Building tab are essentially preset holes that automatically create and maintain openings in walls, even as you resize the door or window. Doors from the Building menu are functional by default, meaning the player can interact with them and open them. Adding stairs or ramps lets your player move vertically. The simplest way to achieve this is to place a preset stair prop from the Building menu. This automatically recalculates the nav mesh so players can climb upwards or downwards. Here you can see my blue path on the stairs I've just placed, meaning this is a walkable area. You can connect multiple stairs together to get to higher areas. You'll notice that without a hole in the ceiling above, the blue walk nav mesh on my stairs, it stops halfway up. Be sure to create a matching hole in the ceiling and floors above and below so the player has space to pass through. Once my hole is added here, my nav mesh updates because it recognizes that there's now enough headroom for the player to reach the top. Ramps are another option for smooth inclines. Just place a floor prop and rotate its position. The nav mesh automatically detects this as a walkable space. Now I'll add a second floor to my ramp to serve as an upper level. Let's test it. To make invisible walls, floors, and ramps, use the green options in the Build menu. For invisible stairs, you can disable its renderer with an activator or give it a transparent material. See our videos on Logic 1 and materials for more information. Another way to move vertically is with ladder logic, but we're going to cover ladders in our Logic 2 video. You can also make crouchable spaces like vents or tunnels. To do this, I'll create a second room outside my current one by adding a floor piece from the building menu. I'll add a floor, generate walls, and generate a ceiling. And in the Properties panel, I'll set the wall height to 1. So you'll see my nav mesh turns orange. And the orange means that this is a crouch-only space. Because this is a vent, I'll adjust the width. I'll delete the end wall of my tunnel so the player can enter without obstruction. I'll then create a small hole near the floor of the connecting wall of my main room to match. This is so they can enter the tunnel. So let's test it. It works great. Now let's make the tunnel more interesting. I'm going to add some vertices, extrude some edges, just to create some twists and turns. If I want to loop back around, I'll need to avoid overlapping vertices or edges, as the room editor doesn't allow that. So to make a looping tunnel, the solution here is to make the tunnel one full, continuous floor, then add a hole or multiple holes where needed. I'll delete these unnecessary vertices with the middle mouse button. I'll add a hole, and I'll regenerate walls based on this new floor plan. Don't forget to again remove the automatically generated wall at the tunnel entrance, or your players won't be able to enter. Let's test. You can see that holes don't automatically generate walls around my tunnel loop, so I'll have to manually add them here. To accomplish that, I'll unlink and reuse another tunnel wall. In the Properties panel, you can unlink any wall or ceiling to edit it separately from the floor. So for example, you might want to lift the bottom edge of a wall to create a crouchable opening, or make a wall an animation in order to reveal a secret passage. For my tunnel, I'll select this 1x1 wall section of my vent. I will click Unlink, Ctrl-D to duplicate it, and I'll move the copy to the hole's edge. I'll then set its thickness to 1. This creates a cube and it fills the hole perfectly. For more complex holes, you can add, place, and shape walls manually from the building menu. You'll notice that unlinked walls also have a navigation type property. Static walls calculate the nav mesh at level start and will not update. Walls set to obstacle will update the nav mesh if they move. Just note that holes will not work when they are placed on a wall set to obstacle. Be sure to check out our tips and tricks video for a way to make custom shapes like letters or symbols by using unlinked walls with holes. Finally, you can make elevated crouchable spaces too, like vents mounted high on walls. Here, I will move my vent and connected hole up a bit. And just make sure to provide a ramp or stairs or a ladder so the player can reach the opening. That's the end of our video on playable spaces. I hope you've learned how to place your walls, floors, and ceilings, and I'll see you in the next video.